Was good, yeah. But anyway, while I wait in this line down here at Quaker Oaks in Lancaster, Texas, quick update on the LRM truck. I had to get the pinion seal replaced, and I had to replace the shift selector on the steering column right here. You know that you shifted the gears, then it's an automatic or whatever. So it was giving me problems. It wouldn't shift into neutral. Sometimes it wouldn't shift into drive or reverse. I had to keep on playing with it and playing with it. So I brought that piece before I left the house, and then I went to change it, but the truck wouldn't start if I cut it off. So I had to leave it running, so I couldn't change it while the truck was running or whatever. And the reason why the truck wouldn't start when I cut it off is because the shift selector was messed up or whatever, and I didn't know that at first. But the truck still thought it was either in reverse or drive, so it wouldn't start back up if I had cut it off or whatever. Yeah, I was up in Maryland, and I cut it off, and I went to change it, and something told me try to start it back up to see if it would start, and it wouldn't start. Because first I thought it was something wrong with the battery, because before I had left the house, I had turned it off. This is before I found out if I turned it off, it wouldn't start. I had turned it off, and it wouldn't start back up. So I took my car, and I jumped the batteries, and it started back up. Then I got up to Maryland, and I figured since it started, it would keep. I wasn't thinking about it not starting back up, so I cut it off. Then right when I cut it off, like a couple seconds later, something said, try to start it back up and see if it'll start back up. So I tried to start it back up, and it wouldn't start back up. So luckily this brother pulled up beside me or whatever. I'm like, man, can you give me a jump? So he was like, yeah. So he tried to give me a jump. Batteries got all the way up to like 13.7 or something like that. The truck still wouldn't turn over. So he was looking around, and checking the connections and stuff like that. Yeah, some of my connections is a little corroded. I'm gonna have to get that straightened out or whatever. Then we went over to the starter. You know, I was like, it might be the starter or whatever. So we beat on the starter a couple of times, and it turned over. Now, so first it started when I jumped the batteries. And the second time it started, we bumped the starter. So I didn't turn it off no more after that, so I couldn't change the shift selector. So I get down to, I pick up this first load that I got from JB Hunt. Coming down here to Lancaster, Texas. I picked it up in Jersey, and I drove all the way down to Prescott, I believe it was Prescott, Arkansas, and I stayed at the TA, took my 34-hour reset, and while I was there, I got them to, I was gonna get the starter changed out or whatever, because I thought it was a starter. So we tried to start it, and it started up. So we started it, it kept on, and it kept starting. So, you know, I didn't get the starter changed. Changed the shift selector out. I ain't had a problem with it since. It start every time. I turn it off, turn it back on, and start. So I believe it was the shift selector, and the truck was thinking it was in drive or reverse, so it wouldn't start. It wasn't in neutral. So then I got the pinion seal, the front rear pinion, front rear output shaft. The pinion seal on it changed. That was $330, and then plus the shift selector was another $190 something. So the pinion change, was $370, and then the shift selector was like $190. So that was like $600 right there. Then mind you, I had to change out the fuel sender, and I changed that out. I thought that fixed my problem, but it still didn't fix my problem. The truck would be reading on E, and I still have 75 gallons of diesel in there. So it's something on this dash that's messed up, I believe. So I'm gonna have to change that out. But yeah, so that was, you know, I done put about $800 or $900 into this truck since I got it. I only had it for like 2 weeks or whatever. Put $800 or $900 in there, but you know, they said they reimbursing me for everything. So I sent them receipts, and they said when it's time to make my truck payment, they'll just knock whatever the total is off of my truck payment, and I won't have to pay, you know, the whole truck payment that month. So, you know, that's kind of a plus. That way, they reimburse me for the things that I'm kicking out, because I'm still so short in having a truck. Now, if I probably had it over 30 days or something like that, they probably wouldn't reimburse me. But technically, they only give you 72 hours, and they have you sign this paper saying the truck ain't got nothing wrong with it and stuff like that, like no leaks and, you know, and the lights work and all that stuff before you leave. Now, I believe that pinion seal, well, I know that pinion seal was leaking. When I first got the truck, it wasn't leaking. When I first got down there to check out the truck and to check off and everything, do the check off on the checklist and stuff like that, it wasn't leaking. I drove the truck 120 miles or so and get up to the, what is that? It's the Loves up there. I can't think of the name. Let me see. In Florida, at exit 120, I believe. Fort Pierce. And, you know, I get diesel and stuff, and I walk around the truck, and I look, and I had to look down, and I seen, you know, oil on the ground. And I was like, well, grease or whatever. I believe it's oil that's in that red anyway. Yeah, so I see that on the ground, so I'm like, oh man. And I'm thinking, like, should I go back? And I'm like, maybe, you know, it was just something left over or whatever. So, you know, I didn't go back. So I drove all the way home, got home, and, you know, sat for a day, and I looked, and it was still oil, it was oil getting on the ground or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, I should have went back and got them to change it out then, but I didn't. But they reimbursed me for it, so no biggie. But yeah, so that's the update on the truck. Catch up with y'all.